Stakeholders from across multiple government agencies, the private sector and civil society organizations met at the Bay Gardens Hotel conference room on October 31, 2019 to validate St. Lucia's country program for the Green Climate Fund. The Green Climate Fund, CGF, is a new global fund created to support the efforts of developing countries to respond to the challenge of climate change. Permanent Secretary in the Department of Economic Development, Transport and Civil Aviation, Claudius Emmanuel, noted that collectively, small island developing states, SIDS, contribute negligibly to climate change, contributing only about 1% of total carbon emissions.
Against this backdrop, adaptation measures are critical to SIDS, especially for the agriculture and fisheries sectors, coastal marine ecosystem, water resources, as well as the infrastructure and health sectors. It is therefore a moral imperative that financial resources for both climate adaptation and mitigation are made available to SIDS on terms and conditions that take account of their peculiarities.
Emmanuel stated that via the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNCCF, climate financing of $100 billion is made available annually. This financing is channeled through the Green Climate Fund to benefit 129 of the world's most vulnerable countries.
In addition to the fact that adaptation needs far exceed the financial commitment made thus far, there is strong competition to access and use the available climate funding, both among and within countries. As such, it is vitally important that St. Lucia adopts an aggressive and proactive posture towards accessing available climate-related funds, such as the Green Climate Fund.
Chief Economist in the Department of Economic Development, Tommy Descartes, stated that his department is the National Designated Authority, NDA, to the Green Climate Fund and serves as the lead liaison between the fund and stakeholders.
And so essentially the department is the one who will be providing no objection for any projects that's submitted, will be given strategic oversight to the overall engagement with the GCF.
Among the requirements to access funding from the GCF is the development of a country program which clearly articulates how the country will engage the GCF based on the strategic priorities developed from robust stakeholder engagement.
Now we are almost completed, and we think it was necessary to bring everybody here to validate what was presented in April. And so the hope is that we will get robust feedback from the stakeholders, and we would then refine the document to reflect that.
Climate analytics were contracted under the Green Climate Fund Readiness and Preparatory Support Program to build the institutional capacity of the NDA and key stakeholders, as well as to develop the country program for St. Lucia. Climate Analytics is a global non-profit organization that provides climate science research and policy advice. Frances Fuller, Deputy Director and Implementation Specialist with Climate Analytics, outlined some of the priority projects which emerged from the wide-ranging stakeholder consultations.
Some of the main aspects are around resilience fisheries sectors, smart hospitals, green schools, e-mobility, electric mobility, trying to push that forward. So there's a pretty good cross-section of activities, of focus areas, I guess, and so we do hope that it is somewhat representative of all the priorities that are outlined in the policy documents, but then also to address some of the key concerns from the stakeholders at the community level.
St. Lucia's National Adaptation Plan identified three main conditions that affect the island's vulnerability to climate change, namely its small geographical area. It's also one of the world's highest risk locations to tropical cyclones, and its dependency on a few sources of income. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, Glenn Simon reporting.
15 minutes, so